Welcome to the Progressive Mindset Podcast. My name is Natalie Potts, personal development and business coach, and each week I'll be bringing you an inspiring personal message to help you unlock creating a life full of energy and happiness. So let's begin with this week. So last week I was coaching some clients, and what seems to come about at the moment is this thoughts of lost or not knowing what they want to do in life and not knowing what their purpose is. Fundamentally, that's the key. They do not know what their purpose is and how you live life by your purpose. So there's a quote by Dalai Lama who said, "Every day, think as you wake up, today I'm fortunate to be alive. I have a precious human life. I'm not going to waste it." And I just thought it was a great way to start, especially on a Monday morning, in terms of that kind of kickstart attitude to the week, or that Monday motivation you're needing, whatever it is that you need on a Monday that gets you fired for your week. So let's break it down at first, though, like anything, is let's get the steps that are practical to move forward. Because again, as Richard Branson says, and I quote his quote quite a lot, we make simplicity really hard. Like, we make it complex, and we shouldn't. So what is purpose? So have you ever asked yourself, how happy am I? And really thought about it? Sometimes people don't really want to think about it because, on the contrary, this sometimes makes the assumption that you're not happy, but it's not. It's just purely asking yourself that question, exploring it. Many things can make us unhappy every day. So lots of people are talking about anxiety every day, and kind of like that's a way of being, but that's just derived from circumstances that we feel are out of our control. Therefore, we get very anxious about them. You know, and whether you complete a survey, you ask your friends and your family, you talk to people around you, far too many people are saying the same thing, which is that they feel lost. They feel unhappy about their job. They don't like their career. They've just walked into it, and then suddenly they've got to 30, they've got to 40, 50, and like, I haven't lived life the way I thought I would, or it isn't kind of ticking those boxes or making my heart sing when I jump out of bed every morning. In fact, I just don't jump out of bed every morning, and I'd like to. And those are some of the thoughts that people have around thinking about purpose. We go in and out of debt because we think that another lesson or another qualification or another course is going to serve us, creating the ideal version of ourselves on CVs of what do people want to hear versus actually what am I great at and who am I. And of course, social media definitely kind of dictates and creates a particular way we think we need to be and how we need to come across to others. And people feel trapped. They feel that they have to be something and they have to live up to something for others all the time. And that's exactly the point about others. They worry too much. We worry about rejection too much. We worry about overwhelm too much, opposed to actually just giving it a go and living life and just seeing what comes your way. And I was listening to a podcast this week, and it was an amazing podcast with business entrepreneur talking, and he was saying all about how business should be built on mutual respect. And he was also saying all around this part about the fact that we, just really realizing what we have and going for it, and that nothing is a failure, because it should always be a learning. Like, if you didn't have failures, what it tells you is that you're trying nothing new. And that stuck with me all week about every time I think I've failed at something, one, what have I learned from it? And two, if I didn't ever give it a go, I wouldn't have tried something new in the first place. So it's only developed me and moved me forward. It's the way I look at it. And therefore, when you look at things like that, and again, it's kind of this reframing perspective exactly in that, you look at it differently and you don't take it as seriously. You don't choose as well in some ways, but you don't get anxious about circumstances or situations. You look at them and think, okay, I'm in control of this. I can deal with this. Actually, that's not how I wanted it to be. So I need to go and change X, Y, and Z to get X, Y, and Z as the next outcome. So it's a real great way to reframe things is by sometimes taking a step back and asking that question, how happy am I? Not just to think, well, actually, I don't have this and I don't have that. Again, it's the kind of the positives. What can you take from it, and how can you see how you can move forward? So take a moment to really consider who the people are around you that inspire you, empower you, and drive you to be a better person in your life. And I'm sure there is examples when you think about the reasons why they are, that it makes you excited. They seem to potentially accomplish a lot in your eyes. They're what you deem success to be. They seem to have it all, or they're probably, they're very great people. They give back, they serve others. And actually what you're noticing about them is you might think actually just they're always positive. They're not really in reality. They don't get it. They're, that it's easy for them. It's those types of attitudes that we have towards people like that sometimes. And that's not right. Actually all they've done is gone about finding their purpose in life and taking action, and then choosing to see life and leading every day to feel optimistic, fearless, and determined to make every single day count. And surely that's what all of us want, right? So this is where we're talking about purpose being more than just your passion, everything. It's about the way of life and the way you want to live every single day. And it probably won't come across as a surprise to you that those have obviously found their purpose are very often healthy, they have happier lives. And they talk about that as well. It's not just that we think they have, they do. They have longer and stronger relationships. They're often wealthier, not always. They report that they are fulfilled in their occupations, they give back, and they are connected. They're connected with people, and you see that. Being in their aura or around them kind of gives off a vibe of energy that you love and you want to still be around them. This is what makes them great people. And you will have experienced these people, within your careers, within your lifetime, and be able to draw upon these as examples. But what if we really challenged ourselves and asked ourselves, not about being happy, but what do you really, really want in life? What do you really, really want to do? And we are all complex. We have strengths, we have weaknesses, we have interests and values and beliefs, and those are all different. And that is what makes us unique and individual. But we're so often trying to find ourselves in the eyes of others and live up to their expectations of what they want for us, opposed to what we want for ourselves. And when you think back to that question of we were asked in childhood at school, and it was always, what do you want to be when you're older? I honestly think many of us really thought out the box there, or thought big and, I want to be an astronaut or an actress, something, that was out there. And I wonder if that reality, if it became something that was true to us now. So if we did become the actor or we did become the astronaut, would it hold us closer to our hopes and desires? And there are two lies that you're told when you're growing up, right? And this is fact. Like, the first is that you'll never amount to anything, which is absolute bullshit. There we go, I said it. And the second is that you can be anything you want to be. The truth is, you can't be anything you want to be, right? I can't naturally just go and be an astronaut. If I wanted to be, I'd have to go and do a lot of training, I think. But look, the reality is often you can't always be anything you want to be, but you can be everything you are. And there's a real difference there. And that's, again, about taking the time to step back and think about what is me. If we're talking about everything, what is that? Who am I? What do I stand for? What do I want to be known for? Everybody is a genius, and this is from Albert Einstein. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid. And this could be that you have all of the money in the world, and that fish has all the money in the world, but it's not going to survive out of water, right? It's just not. So live life on your terms and what you want, and not for others. It's really important, just about when you're thinking about what is purpose and what does it mean to you. But then you need to move forward. And again, it's about taking that next step. Once you've identified that and explored that, about how do you find it? And actually, I'm going to change this word find, because I don't think it's always right, because find means we go and get something new. I think it's more about how do you uncover your purpose, because uncovering dictates that then it states that it is in you already. It's there, and there is something within you already. So you just need to go and uncover that. And knowing you can live a life full of purpose is the first step, right? We've done that part. But it can be absolutely terrifying, like paralyzing for some people to really then, really look at how do you uncover this. And you really need to look at taking action with this one. Often people procrastinate. And again, when we talk about procrastination, a way of just combating that and overcoming it is to just take action and just get on with it and do it. So it may worth be considering whether there is an underlying question that's kind of in your subconscious of, are you thinking too much about what others will think when you're answering, how do I uncover my purpose? Are you too worried about going and telling your friends and family that actually I'm going to take a career change, that I'm going to leave my job, that I'm going to start studying something new, that I'm going to actually pay for that course that I've been thinking about for 6 months? Often there's those niggles in the back of our mind that are stopping us from moving forward. And we are so worried, literally worried and panicked about what others will think of us and their expectations. And it's because it goes back to this part of us fearing failure. No one wants to fail at something. But someone living in purpose would say that if you don't fail, you don't learn anything new, as I said earlier. So go out there and just try it, give it a go. And also, how many of us can draw upon a time when we had no idea of how something would turn out. It's like riding a bike or learning to drive or starting a new job. Everything seems so clunky at the start. Like I always talk to people about especially when I career coach around, when you start something new, a new position or a new company, it's going to feel clunky. It's going to feel long. It's going to feel dull. It's going to be hard. It's going to feel frustrating because you think, well, I want to be there. I want to be that person. And I know I can do this, but I'm here and I've got to get to there. And that's going to take me 6 months. And yeah, now where do I go? So you have to learn to manage that state and that period of time, because one, it's a learning, and two, it's what everybody goes through. So sometimes we need to draw upon, and this is what I do in reality with people with coaching, is draw upon where are you now and take a time or a strength from before and employ that back into where you are now and use it. So if you do something really well when you start a company or you start working in a new business role or something, it might be I spend 2 weeks and I get to meet every single person, have a genuine one-to-one with them. Therefore, it helps build relationships and build rapport right from the start. Therefore, it helps build a culture in the business where we work. Then you need to stick to that and go through those stages. And again, it's breaking things down. And it is about this slowing down to speed up in anything that you do. And I think the same is here as well, that finding, or uncovering rather, I have to reset myself, your purpose is about taking small steps, is about going forward, and then perhaps not that linear approach again, that jungle gym of up and down, and you'll plateau and you shoot up again, and you feel a sense of movement and moving forward quicker and pace. You have to go through that journey and that cycle. And the reality is you will always come across obstacles and fears. And those are the times when you need to dig deep and be really clear about those. And they're the times that those are like sowing those seeds that actually you may not discover what you want to at that moment in time, like you're thinking you want to or you feel you need to. And then suddenly in time, it manifests differently. And I'll give the example. I was talking with somebody I was mentoring this week for coaches, and we were talking about the fact that they said their client isn't moving forward, but they feel they are, that client is moving forward as a coach. Well, it's not for you to tell that client what's happening for them, because it's about asking the right questions. You can empower them in a way to feel that, of course. But actually, sometimes people won't have achieved their goals or they won't have achieved their actions. However, that might just be one stepping stone or part of the journey, or the sowing of a seed that actually builds. And again, it's that compound effect to when they do reach the point of I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, that was just part of the journey. And it might not seem that they know the answers to everything. And I think that's where you have to be patient with yourself as well. And this is why I honestly don't think that, like I said last week in the shortcut syndrome, that overnight success just doesn't exist. You have to learn, you have to gain experience, you have to go through the hardships, you have to go through the obstacles, and you have to overcome them. And you have to get better at overcoming things as well. You have to get there quicker than before and try different things. And that's all great, knowing how to uncover your purpose as well and look into it. And there's so many different ways you can do that. One way is to look at a model called the Ikigai model. And this is about exploring yourself. And it literally means that, a reason for being. So Iki means life, and Gai means a realization of what one hopes and expects. There's a great podcast on it, actually, but it's a beautiful visual representation of finding purpose as seen. And the reason I spoke about this is because I'm actually following this podcast up to date with a workbook around uncovering your purpose. See, we all get it wrong. There we go. Prime example, it's the reality. And it gives you lots of different ways to explore how to uncover your purpose. But I'm going to share one today with you. And one is about drawing this Ikigai model. And it's 4 quadrants. So quadrant 1 is thinking about the things you love doing, okay? And that's where you need to know, brain dump, and just explore everything that you love to do and just get it in that one quadrant. And then quadrant 2 is about things that you're good at, yeah? So what you love doing and things that you're good at may be slightly different. But know all of the skills. So it's not necessarily what you have been doing, you like doing, but are good at. It is literally about what you are good at, so not what you like. And it may be that it's you suspending all that kind of being humble moments and feeling guilty because you have a pride in something. You need to be selling yourself here and really writing down what you do that's great. Your 3rd quadrant is thinking of things the world needs. So make a note of what you feel is missing from the world. And some people say here things like, this market's saturated, this industry's saturated, and it's not going to move forward. There is always something you can offer that is different to somebody else, okay? Exactly going back to that part at the start about being unique. There is something that you can offer the world. This isn't a right or wrong here. So just think about what you think the world lacks, whether it's kindness, a lack of beauty, a lack of love. What is it that the world needs? And then the 4th quadrant is thinking about what could you be paid for. And sometimes we're too humble about this, and we don't really think about, actually, that is something I do really well and I could charge for that. People would pay me for that. And I'll give you an example. Today I saw a shot on Instagram, and it was somebody that reposted a couple of dumbbells, a yoga mat. And the yoga mat was cashmere, and it was £1,800. And these kettlebells, I don't know what's wrong with them, or I say wrong with them, yeah, because there must have been something, but they were like 800 quid. So when we're sitting here sometimes thinking about, I can't charge £10 for that, there is people selling yoga cashmere mats for £1,800. Okay, so literally go out there and really think bold about what could I offer people that people would pay for. And this is good. It's not you going to. And it could be things that you're doing already or something that you believe you have the ability to do. Just get it out there and get it brain dumped on these quadrants. And when you bring it all together, you start to notice different things. And a great quote from coaches is, notice what you notice. So what do you notice that appears in multiple quadrants as an awareness part? What do you notice that appears in 1 and 2? And going back there, 1 and 2 is about what you love doing and the things that you're good at. What do you notice about the 2? The overlap between these 2 means that's your passion. Then when you think about 1 and 3, so things you love doing and things the world needs, this is your mission. Okay? And when you think about things the world needs and things that I can be paid for, that's a vacation. Yeah, that's a job. Well, that's a vacation, sorry. And 2 and 4, so looking at things I'm good at and things I can be paid for, that's your job. So really think about, what do you notice there? And another thing to come on to is really thinking about energy, and not just energy, it's energy and environment, because the 2 are aligned. And it's really important that you focus on driving the right energy. An important part of our purpose is about aligning ourselves with that. And there are 2 areas that we can look at. So take a moment to really consider a time when you felt empowered, yeah, and driven to succeed at something. And then think about a time when you felt exhausted and defeated and uninspired. So complete opposite. What is the difference between those 2 environments? And what did you notice about the energy of others in those 2 environments? Because when we choose to be with like-minded people and connect and feel empowered, we are then empowered and inspired to be different in ourselves. So that's a great thing to do, is really look at Ikigai. And then around that is the energy and environment, if you want to kind of dig that bit deeper. And of course, like I said before, this is just exploring. It's just taking things one step at a time and thinking about what it means to you. Another way, because remember we're going back to the ways to uncover your purpose, is to do a DISC assessment. So one of the things I'm accredited to run with my clients, and we do right at the start of any coaching relationship we have, is to do the DISC assessment. And it is a personality tool that heightens self-awareness. And this is absolutely essential to success. If you don't understand what drives your actions and behaviours, you will not cultivate growth. And you discover what inspires you by looking at your behaviours, your traits, your habits. And this is what will propel and move you forward. So DISC is a great tool that was a DISC theory created by Dr. William Marston. So he's a Harvard professor, and he talks about and proposes the following: that you fall into, again, kind of 4 areas. So there are proposals that people are either outgoing, reserved, people orientated, or task orientated. And a question to ask yourself is, am I as outgoing or reserved? And give a numerical value to that. So give 1 a 1 and 1 a 10, and a 10 is your strongest. And then do the same for task and people orientated. And where you sit with the stronger one, if you, again, which you'll see in my workbook, you see then where it sits, it might give you more of an idea of where you sit for a style. Okay, so what you're wanting to see is if you're a DISC. And just to give you a little bit more background about each one. So dominance is D, and that's a very person that's very direct, results orientated, quite firm and strong-willed. I is all around influence. So you're very inspiring, you're outgoing, enthusiastic, you may be quite an extrovert naturally, highly spirited and lively. C is about conscientiousness. So very analytical, very reserved and precise, figure-based, private and systematic. And S is steadiness. So very even-tempered, quite accommodating to others, very patient and humble, and very, very tactful. So what you're wanting to find out for your DISC is your dominant default style. Okay. And sometimes people will be a blend, or there'll be a mix, or there'll be a couple of them. But what you want to do is look at where you would sit, because it gives you more awareness of how you behave and how you are around others. And that's a key part I love about DISC, is that it doesn't only look at yourself, it looks about how you are with others. And it also goes one step from that and looks about how you can react behaviourally when you're under stress and tension. And that's really important, because the more aware you are, the more you have the power to then recognise that and make the change you need to. So let's take an example. So under stress and tension, I can often actually get quite fiery. I might get quite quick. I want things done yesterday. When actually, when you're working with people, that's not always the right way to be, because that's not probably how they're going to be. So I need to know that actually, if they're a strong I, D, S or C, they will work in different ways to me. So I need to get the best out of them. So I need to react in a certain way, and they need to get the best out of them as well. So this is where it really helps. And so if you're looking to maybe do that assessment yourself, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to get you connected with that. And then we go through your profile together and just bring it to life as well. Because again, that's the important part is then you've got to take action on it. So one of the other things we can do to uncover purpose is to just serve others. Just start doing that. As basic as that sounds, just go out there and start serving in some way. And it doesn't have to be charity work. It could be that you go and go to a company where you've always wanted to work. And you might have to give up your week of annual leave and just do a couple of days of work experience because you really want that position, or you really want to try working in that company and see what their culture's like, see how they treat people, see what's expected of others, and feel whether it feels right for you. And this is why it's really important that people go and do job interviews in places where they work, because they need to understand and feel whether the culture is right for them. It's not always about the business being right for them. It's about whether they're right for the business as well. It's both ways. So do this by many ways. You could give blood. You could write a gratitude list. You can start always in terms of just looking at how you serve and give back. But often people find their purpose because they are giving back and they're offering service. And this is a great way for you to go and have a look at things and see, is this what I'm going to fall in love with? And you could almost look at this like an audit of your life as well. Fall in love with the process of doing this and not just the end result that you want to get. Another question to think about is that, you may be actually living your purpose. So ask yourself, am I actually living my purpose? I've just got the wrong mindset. And that's not something I'm going to go into now, but I think it's just a great question to ask yourself. And again, the power of questions, and those ones that make you kind of very thought-provoking and think about things. And again, so kind of 3 areas to this today. So you've got what is purpose, how you uncover purpose. I'm sure I've said find a few times, but again, I'm looking at the association of language and what it means. How to live your purpose. So one big thing you have got to be clear on is that we all have doubters. You will have people that try to avoid you. You will have people that criticize you, and you will also have people that encourage you. Thank goodness. Listen to them all and take a step back and just take reflection on what that means to you and what they're saying, because this will really help you take the next step in uncovering it and starting to live your purpose. So this can be useful because it challenges you to do ways others see things as well, and you'll start to think about things differently. You can only connect the dots when you reflect back. You can't connect any dots moving forward. So you have to reflect back and think about what have you learned. And then you have to trust that. You have to go with your gut and your instinct. And maybe karma if that's something you feel as well. But whatever you do, just do what feels right for you, and trust that as well. I say this time and time again to my clients, sometimes just trust what you're doing and give it a go. And if it doesn't pay off, then let's get there, but stop worrying about it and just get out there and do it and see what comes back of it, because something amazing could come from this. You're just not giving yourself the time or the freedom to give it a go. And it goes back to that part that, living your purpose is that yesterday's gone. It's done, right? Hasta la vista. This is gone. So focus on the now, whether you need to meditate and be in a moment, focus on that and the future, because we become successful based on what we do, not what we've done all the time. Yeah. So we need to become happy about the things that we give and focus on one thing at a time. So switch off on all those distractions. This is a big, big, big one. So people need to create more boundaries than they do. And when I talk boundaries, I'm not saying, you leave work at 6 every day, you get home at 9. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is you need to switch off from things like social media that doesn't serve you, the Netflix that doesn't serve you, the sticking around for longer just to have a chat with people at work at the end of the day and feeling productive. Like, you've really got to be a bit more disciplined on things. And I'm not saying don't watch Netflix. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is really have purpose in the time where you invest it and analyze where you are putting that time. So be in control, because if you don't, that's a route to destruction. It could be that you look at, actually, I have 2 hours this evening. I'm going to spend an hour and a half just cracking through some stuff and getting organised for tomorrow of the week. And then I'm going to watch 13 minutes of Netflix. But you sometimes have to, again, slow down, speed up, and really take account for things of where they are and what you want. Otherwise, things don't change. And living a purposeful life means working for it. So there is no magic. Really sorry to tell you that. I would love it to be that's the case, and I could just sprinkle some fairy dust over us all. But we really have to understand that it's hard work and we have to be committed. But what you'll find is if you are living life by your purpose, it isn't a chore. It doesn't feel like work. You want to do it more, and you want to stay up and get 4 hours sleep because you just want to keep going with what you're doing because you love it so much. And that's a great place to be. So pay attention to that, cultivate that self-awareness part, and then feed those strengths, and then you will find the way, and trust that again. Notice the moments in your life when you feel alive, you feel connected to other people, you have energy about you, and it's consistent energy, and it's a consistent positivity in the way that you are and the way you show up in life and every day. Because when we are self-aware and we are aware of our strengths, we are more confident. So almost you can just tackle some of the confidence issues that people have. And I say issues because it's an issue to us that we are not as confident as we want to be at times, or we fear things. So combat that in a different way, reframe it, and see that if I become more self-aware, if I focus on my development, if I focus on personal growth and being the best I can be, and my strengths and what I do really well, surely I'll start to empower myself and feel better. Therefore, I won't feel less confident or that I'm not good enough in terms of self-esteem. So sometimes we need to just reframe things as well. Life becomes what we make it, and no one else is going to make it be anything that we want it to be for us. We're going to have to go out there and do it. And rejection and criticism needs to just be welcomed. See those failures of, like I said earlier, you're trying something new, because that's the key. So thank you for listening to my podcast today. My last podcast was on the shortcut syndrome, which is all about kind of success overnight, and it just doesn't exist. So please, I highly recommend that you follow the link that I'll put in this episode and check back up on listening to that episode, because it was useful and has hopefully some valuable little nuggets in there. Please connect with me on all of my social media. I'm at Natalie Potts Coaching everywhere. My Facebook community is Living a Vibrant Life. So again, jump on there, shares, likes, engagement. I love all of that. And make sure you leave a review on this, please. If you can leave one on Apple, I would be so happy. And tag me and then let me know this week. It would make my day. So please, because you never know. You never know when I'm having an off day. So that one little 2-minute review and a thank you or share could make my day. As I hope I've made yours. So I'm going to leave you with a quote, because I love a quote, and it's by Wayne Dyer, who said, "Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change." Let's just say that again, just for some emphasis. So change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. Whatever you do, have a great day, have a kickstart, great Monday, and have a great week.